Well, today's another episode here on Wake Up with KC. And, I'm always curious about other people's perspectives, especially experts that are coaches as well. And I have a very special guest that is a life coach, and he helps with addiction recovery, love relationships, and so much more. So please welcome Dennis Berry.
Hello, good morning. Thank you. Well, at least it's morning right now, but thank you for having me, Kimberly. It's really nice to meet you. I'm
Well,
excited.
it's an honor and a pleasure to meet another life coach. And
Yeah.
I love intellectual conversations and I love talking to people that are like-minded. And I believe it's innated in us to help and serve. But I
Yeah.
do realize you can't help others until you help yourself first.
Amen. Yeah, it's so important that self-love, self-care, self-respect, taking care of yourself. It's like the oxygen coming down in the airplane. We have to take care of ourselves and put it on ourselves. Otherwise, we're no use to anybody else.
And speaking of self-love and everything, I had a self-realization, you know, we're taught conditional love. And we're taught what love is based on our growing up, our upbringing through our parents.
Mm. Yeah, totally. Yeah, almost everything we do is based on our conditioned behavior, what we were conditioned to do, subconsciously or consciously. And usually we're unaware of it. Our subconscious mind is running 80-90% of everything that we do. Our conscious mind is like, oh, I'm going to do this today. This is my to-do list, and I'm not going to drink later. And my subconscious mind says, oh, that was a hard day. Let's go to happy hour, and you end up at happy hour because that's what we're programmed to do. We were conditioned to do that, whether it was our parents or that's what we were taught by ourselves on how to handle when life gets stressful, fearful, insecure, whatever the feeling of the day is. So that's how we end up in our wherever we are, happy, mad, glad, or sad. It's because of our conditioned responses to life.
And would you agree that, this love thing, it's we're taught on the outer external view based on our upbringing, society, and if you look at, TV and, the movies and media, it's total opposite of the truth of what love is. Love is already within. You got to experience love, not what you see or hear in general. Would you agree?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's a great explanation. Love is God. God is love. I mean, that love exists within us already. We need to access it. It's covered up by so much of, like you said, what we hear in the news, the media, uh, our friends, uh, our belief systems. Earlier you said something about our limited beliefs. It's like we're only limited by our own limiting beliefs. What we believe comes to pass, actually, good or bad, and whether we realize it or not. It's like, oh, I'm broke, or well, you're going to continue to be broke. I'm broke, I need this money to be full. Well, you're going to stay broke because you're waiting for this money to fill you up. You're already full of love, right? And then when you start believing in that and walking through life feeling that way and knowing that that's true, then all that other stuff that we're chasing after just kind of follows behind us. The money, the health, the wealth, the relationships, the happiness kind of follows us around when we are that already. When we realize that all that we're searching after, we already are.
Right. And wouldn't you what about, because I have, great mentors, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, Dr. Bruce Lipton, and there's like so many more. It's Dr. Joe Dispenza explains it perfectly. It's what you think, how you feel, the emotion, which is energy in motion, and what you do. When you do it repetitiously, it becomes a personal personality, then it transforms into your personal reality.
Yeah. Yeah. It becomes your experience. I remember,
And you know what you and he said like beliefs is something that you perceive and accept and believe. It becomes like real. It becomes, what you think you are.
mm,
You become. If you don't like your experience, you don't like where you're at, you're the only one that has the power and control to change it.
mm, yeah. And that comes from uh, beliefs in that you can't and that you are already. Like I love all that, and it's basically all that stuff is aligning your heart and your brain and everything, and that becomes your life. And again, consciously or subconsciously, you create your experiences. So what like Dr. Joe, what he's talking about a lot is like really kind of going into that state. Um, that of almost floating, right? It's like that existence that we are, not from this like body that we exist in, but just the that we're all God, we are all love. It's all that stuff we're searching after. We already are. We're just inside this body, and we look like something, but it's not really who we are. And when we connect with all that instead of what I look like, how much money I have, what my house looks like, what my spouse looks like, or all that stuff, then we're happy. But when we're keep looking for all these things outside of ourselves to make us happy, we keep looking for all these things outside of ourselves to make us happy, and we're kind of wasting time, right? So, but it takes effort at least to get to that awareness, so you can connect with that reality every day, and then it becomes your experience.
I like what you just said a moment ago. We are all gods.
Yeah.
And I totally get that now. We are all gods and goddesses. We are divine spiritual beings, sexual beings inside of a human being. And there's a misconception about who we are because we're taught that we're separated when that's far from the truth, because we're connected to this greater intelligence that keeps our heart beating and we don't have to think about it, keeps our lungs exhaling and inhaling, and we don't have to even think about it. That's amazing to me. When
Mm,
I connected the dot and had that God realization, like, oh my God, that so makes sense.
mm, yeah. Yeah, it's a great awareness to come to. Sadly, it usually comes through some sort of pain. Like I wish we could just get all this stuff when we're like 2 years old, and just be like, "Oh, well, I'm God," and everything just kind of unfolds that way. But we usually have to go through these experiences because we're always trying things. It's the human condition. We have in our brains, "I need to do this, I need to do that," and a lot of it's the way our brains were designed to protect us. So we're always thinking. We're always like on guard. We're always aware of what's happening around us, so we don't get. It used to be so we don't get like eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or something like that. But it's always trying to protect us. So it thinks. So meditation is a way to slow down the thought patterns that keep us so full of stress and fear and anger and frustration. And when we get into that state, then we realize the truth is that nothing's out to get us. And if somebody is, then that's their thing, right? That has nothing to do with me. It's not personal. We can get into like the four agreements where nothing that happens to me is against me. I can't take anything personally. I can't make any assumptions about what people are trying to do. When I'm taking things personally or making assumptions, that's when I get into fear. That's when I feel insecure, frustrated, wanting. That's when the people in my life aren't behaving the way I need them to, and that's when I have problems and I don't get where I want to go. Where if I could just be me and know that uh, that divine power you were talking about, that's within all of us, has our best interest in mind, and I already have all this success. I already have the health, the wealth, the perfect spouse, the perfect life, and it just goes that way. You know, the more I search for things, the farther they seem to go. But when I could just be, knowing that things are already that way, and that they're going to work out that way, uh, good or bad, right or wrong. You know, it's like if I think I'm happy, healthy, successful, that's the way my life goes. If I think, oh, I have health problems and I am broke and I'm not happy, then that's the way my life goes because I'm dictating the script. You know, if I say, how are you? And you're like, oh, I'm okay. Well, you're only okay. That's what you just told me. But
Hmm.
you're like, I'm wonderful. I mean, that feeling comes out of you, and other people pick up on it. It's an energy. It's not a feeling. It's not a state of anything. It's an energy. So I'm wonderful. Well, you are, and people are like, really? How do you feel? How do you do that? Because I need more money. I need a better relationship. I need to fix my health. I need to lose weight, right? Or we're wonderful because you just said so. You made that. Uh, uh, Commitment to yourself that you're wonderful, and that's how your life goes.
And words are very powerful because I've been listening to you and observing your vocabulary and what you're speaking. And the I am
Exactly.
is the essence of the God or creator. So when you say I am, whatever goes after that is what you become, how you are going to feel. And then, it's part of the law of attraction. And wouldn't you agree that when you think the thought and you get that feeling, it's that law of attraction and you visualize it, you feel it, and it's that state of being no matter what's going on. It's the kingdom, and what you want is already inside waiting to come to you for the universe to bring it to you. And if you keep saying I want, I need, the universe is going to give you that want and that need for that.
Mm.
So you got to be aware of what you're speaking.
Yeah.
Would you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah. I love all that. And it really goes deep, and it does have to uh, the whole belief system around all this really needs to be understood because a lot of people read The Secret or the Law of Attraction, and uh, they're like, oh, this is great. I could just manifest it. They don't work on it, feeling this on a deep level. And when you do that, when you uh, don't do that and take the effort and time to really manifest all the stuff that we're talking about, it doesn't work. And
Mm-mm.
so it's not just, make a vision board and, then go, oh, I'm going to manifest 6-figure checks in the mail, which is what they talked about. And then I'm just going to sit on the couch and get stoned and play Xbox all day. That's not how it works,
No.
right? So there is action to take, but when you can align your action with your intentions and your true feelings inside of you, as God that we are, then then life just kind of goes that way. It's really interesting stuff, but it does need to be really felt and on a deep level for it to be effective. And I even I spent a lot of time. I did my vision boards. I did like 15 years, 17 years ago, whatever, when the movie came out. I did all that stuff too, and some of it worked, some of it didn't, or worked. Some of it came to be, some of it didn't, and I didn't feel it though on like that deep level that what we're trying to communicate right now to anybody who's listening is just knowing that things are that way already, the way that we desire them to be, they already are. And when you go that, I just read this fascinating thing. uh, it's almost like we go to a movie, right? Now when you go to a movie theater, they usually, that theater plays the same movie all day long. So
Hmm.
after this, we go to a movie, but I want to see this movie, and I go in, but I only get to see the last 15 minutes, and I watch the happy ending. and I saw how it all unfolded. And then I'm like, wow, that was good. I'm going to stay for the next movie, so, which is the same movie, and watch the whole rest of the movie so I understand how it came to the happy ending. And so I'm in the theater with all these people and they're watching it and all the struggles that happen and all the fear. And they're like, oh my God, are they going to die? Are they going to get a divorce? Is that person going to be okay? All these things. And everybody's worried, but I rest easy knowing that the happy ending. I already know it turned out well. I already know it's going to be perfect. So my life's the same way. I already know. I know already that everything is perfect. There's no health problems. There's no money problems. Everything is already, it just is. And I don't have to stress about how I get to these big expectations or goals that I have. I just know that they're going to happen that way. And then I take action on a daily basis based on where I want to go, knowing that all is already great.
And it's like you're practicing. Like and I'm talking about transformation, when you're going through the transformation, when you make a choice, a decision, like you've had enough of, let's get honest, living in the past. And you're like, okay, what do I need to do to change? When you accept responsibility and accountability for where you are now, like in the moment, then you think to yourself, okay, I gotta change. Not quite sure how. And that's where life coaches come in to help guide you to realize some of the beliefs, some of the programming, and then help you learn how to rewire the subconscious and then guide you through the process. It's a process. It doesn't like bam, like a McDonald's drive through. Here you go.
Right.
And that's the journey. That's the adventure of life. And would it be safe to say, Dennis, that in honesty, it's you go through life because you wanted to come here to experience the God and the essence of that connection that we're connected to within us. Being in a human being just wants to experience life. We both came together in our soul and spiritual divine form and decide, hey, I want to calm down and I want to experience this, that, and know what it feels like.
Hmm. Yeah. And what you said,
You don't have a clue because you're a little baby, but then you're already being taught other stuff, programmings, the belief starts. And then you have little like deja vus, like, why do I know or remember this? It's just your soul is connected to something that you experienced from a past. And now you're aware of it. Oh, okay. And then you gain wisdom, knowledge, understanding from all your experiences to where you can show compassion to others because you know what it's like to be in their shoes. And then you can give words of wisdom. You can give, positive, little insights of how you changed your life.
yeah. Yeah. And well, and like you said, it's important to have, you said a life coach, like for us, but to have an expert, I was taught to have an expert in every area of your life. So it's like, I'm not a lawyer. If I have to go to court, I need a lawyer. If I get
Mhm.
sick, I need a doctor. I hate doing my taxes. So I need an accountant every year. Otherwise that won't get done. So, but I also need help with certain paths in my life. And if I don't know how to get there, I ask somebody. So
Mhm.
I have a coach too. And everybody, you know why I have a coach? Because everybody should have a coach. And a coach, a mentor, an accountability partner. If it's not us, ask somebody else, somebody you connect with. Make sure it's somebody you connect with, because otherwise if you're not connected, you're disconnected, and it's not going to
Mhm.
really, you're not going to get out of it what you need. And but having that accountability partner in your life, someone to hold your feet to the fire to make sure you get these things done, so you can get out of it what you want or need. So you understand. all right, well, my life's not going well. I now understand that there's this God within us all, but I don't know how to connect with it. But I ask somebody for help and find out how to get there. You know, maybe it's a book you need to read or some writing to do, some meditation. I take a very holistic approach to everything, and holistic simply means whole. It doesn't mean anything spiritual or religious or anything mystical. It just means whole. That's the definition of holistic. So I take a whole approach to everything. So if I can't stop drinking, if I have an addiction of sorts, my relationships falling apart, or everything, what we do is what you said earlier. I accept responsibility for every circumstance of my life, because now I can start somewhere. If I'm blaming somebody on the outside for my shortcomings, or my life's falling apart, or I'm broke or unhealthy, or my relationship sucks, it's because there's something I can fix in me to make my experience better. And once I do, then there's steps to take, things you could do. You start watching your diet, start drinking lots of water, going on walks, reading books, writing every day, talking with other like-minded people. This is how you learn how to get where you want to go. Just like if you're stuck, it's because you were doing not those things, and where you are is a result of what you haven't been doing. Right. So if you change that, change your belief system, change your actions to line up together, your passions and your purpose, and then you'll end up where you want to go, or at least on that path. And things will unfold the way you want them to. It's a law of the universe. It's not Dennis's law or Kimberly's
Yeah.
law. It's just the way it works. Yeah. When you can connect with that power and that law, your life goes better.
And wouldn't it be safe to say that, because we have a misconception and a false identity of who we are, that's why and then you go with the beliefs and the programming, and you're miserable, you're unhappy, you created habits that formed your future, which is in the now, and you're just living in the past emotionally, physically, because you programmed your whole body and mind and everything. And that's why most people become addicted to something.
Yeah. Yeah. The addiction isn't the problem. It's what I'm using to cope with the problem, which is my thinking and the way I think and feel about myself, my place in the world. So I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to get there. I'm unhappy with myself, so I'm going to drink, so I don't have to think about that. So they're really, if you can rephrase the word addiction to distraction, then it's a good way to approach the problem, right? So
Mhm.
I mean, of course, at some point, there becomes a physical addiction to things too. So drinking, drugs, whatever it is. But for the most part, they're distractions, and there's ways to work through them to reprogram what, like you said earlier, our subconscious mind, which is running the show, because our subconscious mind puts us at happy hour because that's what it was programmed to do. Our subconscious mind does good things too.
Mhm.
So we brush our teeth every morning, because when we were 3, our parents said, brush your teeth, brush your teeth, brush your teeth, brush your teeth, brush your teeth. So every day, week after week, month after month, we just brush our teeth. So we don't think about, oh, when we wake up in the morning, oh, okay, I'm going to go brush my teeth. I'm going to brush the top teeth and then the side. We don't do that. We just brush our teeth. And because we were programmed, same thing with going to the bathroom. So same thing with drinking. Same thing with mindlessly scrolling on your phone all day, or going to Starbucks every day and spending $30 on coffee, watching 8 hours of Netflix. These are all distractions from growing and learning and finding ways to create the life that we're entitled to, this abundant life in this world we live in.
And there was something I was going to ask you. In speaking of addictions, I've heard like AA and those kind of support groups. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard them say, "Hi, I'm Johnny. I'm an alcoholic." That bothered me when they say it, because they're speaking into existence what they really do not want, because they're saying, "I am." And I'm like, why don't they change that to where I'm free from alcohol, or I'm free from drugs, or I am a recovering addict to whatever it is, or just a recovering addict. I just like, why do they keep saying like I am an alcoholic or I am a I never understood that.
Yeah, it's a broken program. I mean, it's a program. It's been around for 90 years, and it has never been updated. And it worked back then, and it it's a good intro. I spent a lot of years going there. I've been sober almost 19 years now, and I did go there for a long time. It's a great intro to what's actually going on. It's not uh, like the alcohol is a problem. I need to stop drinking, but here's why I was drinking. Right. So it's a great intro to all of that, and it also puts you around like-minded people, which is great. So I'm not isolating and trying to figure life out on my own, which is always what gets me in trouble and drunk in the first place. Uh,
Mm.
it, it gives me some direction. So I have clients that I'll send to AA in the beginning to help them, get a good start. Start with a foundation, meet some people, give them some direction, and then it's time to grow and move on. And
Right.
and right, like what you said, identifying yourself as this like problem uh, keeps you in the problem. So we don't say that anymore, and we just be like you said. Well, I am happy, healthy, successful. Just I am
I am
all those
free from
things.
addiction.
Yeah,
I'm
I
free
am.
from addiction to whatever.
Yeah, beautifully said. That's a great way to do it. So I don't go there long to AA, or I don't have people go there long. Again, it's a great intro, but you have people who've been there 20, 30, 40 years talking about the same things and not growing. There's like a billion books out. Go read some more books and talk to some more people and continue to grow. Because if I don't continue to grow, then I stay stuck, just like when I was drinking, or just like
Mhm.
when I was doing any addiction, food, eating, a pound of chocolate every night before bed. Why do I keep gaining weight, and why do I not get where I want to go? Because you keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting life to go differently, but it doesn't. And so we have to continue to change and grow. I had a business mentor once. He's like, when you think you know the rules change. So, it's always growing and connecting with that, what we were talking about earlier, uh, with that God that's inside of us, and knowing that we are who we want to be and we're entitled to the abundance that is out there in the universe.
And I have a mentor and a teacher and he's like a coach to me, and his name is Grant Cardone. And he says something in one of the classes. He goes, wealth. If you knew the true nature of where wealth actually came from, well, as in well being and health, wealth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It's those little tools, those little things like that that help us learn and grow and become wise, right? That's wisdom, right there.
Hmm.
We kind of like skate over all the words or the things that we say without understanding their true meaning. If we understood the true meaning of everything we said, we'd be careful about what we said, because we're creating our experiences with our words. Like
Hmm.
how I feel, like I say, what I say is ultimately how I am. So
And how you feel.
yeah, exactly. But the good news is that you can redirect and
Hmm.
change once you understand a little bit about this. Which is why I said earlier is like what we're talking about, the understanding and awareness of everything we're talking about usually only comes through some pain. Like if you have plenty of money in the bank, the relationship's good, the health is good, everything's going well, uh, then there's no need to change or understand anything different. Like you could be like the Kardashians or something, who just think and live in this material world and think that everything revolves around them, and just buying more billions of dollars and buying airplanes and stuff, and that's creating their happiness. They're not going to change because they don't need to. In their minds, they think everything's perfect. But understanding this stuff on a deep level, for most that are suffering, who don't have millions of dollars and airplanes and all these Instagram followers and whatever it is, they're struggling going, how did she get there? And instead of just saying, oh, I already have access to all that stuff too. It's right here. I just need to access it on a regular basis and be that. And I can have that type of whatever you create in your mind as
Reality.
perfection. Yeah, you can create your own reality. You already have all that stuff, but it usually comes from some sort of pain or suffering. Like, I'm drinking too much, my life's falling apart. I'm in enough pain to change, right? Until you're in enough pain to change, there's usually not change, because I don't need to change. Everything's fine. I'm breathing. I'm not dead yet. I ate today. Everything seems to be okay. So we have to continue to grow, explore new ways of living, explore new ways of feeling, see what other people are doing, and ask for help. When I talk a lot about success coaching, like, I'm a high performance coach. So I deal with everything from kids to multi-millionaires that make $1 million a month. And we create a plan. You want to create a plan and then get to work, right? And then continue to ask questions and adjust as necessary and enjoy the ride. Like, those are all crucial pieces of the puzzle. I need to create a plan, get to work, ask questions, adjust as necessary, and enjoy the ride. Now, that whole thing is preceded by, like, knowing, and I already know the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know it's going to happen. Things are just going to happen that way. And I don't have to define it. I don't have to say I need to have exactly like $7,427.80 in the bank. It's just, everything's going to unfold that way. And I trust in that process, knowing that that's the way it's going to go. But until you can understand that this whole principle we're talking about actually it's really hard to connect with it. We think people who are talking and saying these things are kind of weird, but
In a way, it's like seeing the end of the movie. And how I connect with it, I see the end result, because being in the film production, I can, in my mind's eye or my third eye, I can vision how it's going to everything's happening, or I envision myself doing something. It looks like it's in the future. So I'm like, okay, I get that. Yes, I see myself doing that. Now I come back to the present. I'm like, okay, in order for me to get there, now I have to go to plan A, B, C, D, E to get to the end of where and then trust, like, I don't know how it's all going to happen, or who I'm going to meet, but I'll know when to take that next step, because the synchronicities that take place, and just falling in love with the unknown. I don't know, but I'm curious, having that curious childlike mindset of, okay, this is going to be interesting. This is okay. I'm not sure how this is all going to turn out to get to that, because I see it. I believe it. I'm just going to let it unfold, have the right people, the right things are going to come my way to help me get to there, and just doing that trust.
yeah, it works that way. That's the way it works, because that's what got us to where we are right now. Only we don't think of it that way. We think,
No.
oh, well, that got where I am right now is because of I did this or I did that. But that's true. But if you want to go there, we need to have the same mindset. Only it usually ends up being a more positive mindset. But we're trained to think the negative to protect us. But just knowing, like you said, or here, I'm going to do plan A, B, and C, or D, or whatever. But I want the end outcome to be this. But we can't say, like, but in order for this to happen, I need this to happen, because now you're attached to this happening, and
Mhm.
that causes more fear, insecurity, and mistrust and heartache and all that stuff. Because if that doesn't happen, now I'm gonna drink. Now I'm gonna go eat or avoid doing anything else because I was attached to this in order for this to happen. So just knowing that everything's okay, uh, and taking action, having the plans in place, and
They could change. You
they
have to
can
be
change.
open
Yeah.
to, and there's like divine timing too. Being intuitive, when I got, some messages and I took action right away, but then I had to learn, yes, that's what you're going to do, or yes, you're going to get this or do that, but not, there's other things that have to line up, and then boom, it just naturally happens.
And trust that process. These other things that need to happen, we need to
Mhm.
trust that. They're not happening to me, they're happening for me, right? Everything's happening for me, for my greater good. And
Right.
just
And
knowing that.
even though you make a plan and a goal because you have an idea, so you write it down and say, okay, this is what I'm going to shoot for. This is my target. This is my goal. Just know it might change because everything's changing, everything's evolving, but you just make minor changes to get to that end result.
Right. And also, I just want to um, accent the fact that uh, all these things we're talking about, I am very focused on action, right? So as a coach, the approach I take is we take massive action. Absolutely. I don't want people to think like in the beginning of this discussion, we talked about The Secret, where the way she marketed that book was she didn't put in there, like, you have to work hard. She didn't put it in there because it may not have sold. She might not be worth $100 million now. She put in, oh, positive thinking, manifest, let's make a vision board. Here's these old mystical quotes. But she didn't put in there, the work has to be part of it. All Dr. Joe, all those people, Michael Beckwith, like they work really hard. You
They
know,
work smart, not hard.
well, they work.
Because to me, that's a program, like, because that was embedded. You have to work hard. You got to work, go to school, get good grades, get a good job. Got to work hard. No, times evolved and changed. Just work smart.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I had the wrong verbiage there, but they work. They work.
Yes.
They work a lot of hours, I guess I should say. So they put a lot of work into their success. They didn't just think about it and it happened. That's not the way it went. So I want people to understand that I also what I teach and the way that I go, which produces massive results, requires action. But it's in the intention of that action, and uh, it's in doing that action with purpose and intent is what gets you where you want to go. When you're doing that action and doing the things you need to do to get to where you want to go, you're putting that energy out there and attracting that energy to you. You're attracting those things to you that you need to have, and those things that need to happen to get you to the end goal. But if you're just sitting around waiting for those things to happen, that's not how it works. So I want people to understand that it's not, oh, well, I believe in this now. I believe that the world's an abundant place and I'm entitled to it. So it's going to happen. And I'm going to just go lay on the beach. That's not
No,
how it works.
no.
Right. So it's about putting the right energy out there. You can create the intent. You can say, I want to make $10 million. That's awesome. I think that's a great goal. I never say when somebody says, I want to have 8 figures in the bank, I say, that's awesome. How much do you make now? Well, I make 40,000. So that's probably not going to happen next year. But what if we could make 80,000 next year? Then we doubled your income. So that's great. So we keep the 10 million as an umbrella goal, something to work towards. And then we create action steps to get there. And when we're doing those action steps, that's the energy. That's the intention that we're talking about, knowing that the 10 million is going to come at some point, someday, maybe, or unless God has a different plan, unless the universe unfolds differently, maybe it's 9 figures in the bank. Maybe it's only 7, which most of us are okay with. But either way, we're going to get there and everything's going to be great. Why we're taking action, focused, intentional action. And sometimes that action is no action. Sometimes that action is I need to sit still and meditate. Sometimes it's I need to exercise. Sometimes it's I need to make a phone call. Whatever the action is, it's not like I have to go work in a factory for 12 hours a day. That's not what I'm talking about with action. I'm talking about taking focused, intentional action to get where we want to go. And then we're creating and attracting the right energy to get to our end goal.
Because energy flows where attention goes.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't work any other way.
And I love it because then you're designing, and we're all creators. So we're creating the life that we seek and choose and desire.
Yeah, all day long, every day.
And as long
Even,
as you
even
keep
while
on,
we're sleeping.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's fascinating. I love it. I love talking to people that get this. It's enlightening and educational, inspirational, and motivational.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's just we do not have to stay stuck. Wake up. That's why I started this podcast.
Yeah.
I
Beautiful.
felt led, like, hey, now's the time. I'm like, okay, how, and I really didn't, I knew some understanding about, because I went back to school for radio and TV broadcasting at Connecticut School of Broadcasting. So I went back again to update my skills. And it's funny because when I first went, I went into video production with the thought of, oh, I want to start my own radio talk show. But then when I saw the editing of video and all that, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I just switched to film production, started my own film production company, did that for a couple of years. And then I went through an experience that I had to put it on the back burner. Now, several years later, I wind up going back to school and I started a podcast
Nice.
during a pandemic. Then now I have my virtual talk show as well. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. I took the action, started something. I wasn't able to continue it, but now it's come full circle in the right divine timing. And it's like, I have these aha moments every now and then. And it's like, wow, okay, now I get it. Connect the dots.
Yeah.
And that's really what
So,
life is. And we don't have to stay victims. We don't have to stay stuck.
we keep ourselves stuck
Yes.
because we want to be comfortable as human beings. Our natural tendency is we want the most out of life with the least amount of effort, right? And that means we expect things to come to us. And if you turn on social media, which most people do all day long, you see all these seemingly successful, perfect, happy people, but we don't see behind the scenes. And then you look at that and you're like, you feel like a failure. Why can't I get there? How come? How do they have that? And if I don't look like that or make that much money or have that, now I'm a failure. So I'm going to drink or go to Starbucks or do anything to not have to feel those feelings because I don't know how to get there. When instead of doing those distractions, what if I read a new book to figure out how do I get there? How do I look like that? How do I, or how do I accept myself for what I look like now? Whatever the thing you need to do is do it, right? And
Yep.
then you're putting the energy out there to bring to you what you desire. But sitting around waiting for it to happen doesn't get the results. And then people think um, things like manifesting, law of attraction, positive thinking, all those things don't work. Well, they don't work if they're not followed by action.
And a lot of people give up. They try. Wouldn't you agree that a lot of people, okay, they try it for 3 days, a week, and then it's like it becomes uncomfortable. So they're like, and they go back to their old ways.
Yeah, our old conditioned responses to life. Yeah.
If you could just hang in there, even though it's uncomfortable, that's the sign that, hey, this is getting uncomfortable, but you got this. Go, just press through. And the reason why it is uncomfortable because you've been in the past, you've been programmed, your body, your mind, all of that. is not having it. So you got to tell it, nope, we're going to continue. We're going to press through. We got this. That is also an action.
Yeah, becoming comfortable in the uncomfortable. And that's a paradox. Like we hit these roadblocks and think, oh my God, well, I don't know how to do that, or this is uncomfortable. And it's supposed to be that way. That's how we learn. Just like when sometimes the way I describe my coaching, like what I do is it's not, I'm a coach or a therapist or a counselor, any big words that you throw out there. It's like, like, if you think about it like a college class, you're taking a college class, I'm the professor. So if you go back to college or school, wherever you went to school, whatever, um, and you took algebra, you didn't learn algebra by the teacher wrote this formula on the board and now you understand algebra. He wrote that on the board, then you went home and you did that chapter and you did those exercises and the homework and you took action. And then after a day, a week, a month, you understood the formula. That's how we learn, by doing. It's not, oh, this is algebra, this is this formula, I understand. So same thing here. It's like, well, how do I start a business? Well, here, let's take these steps, and then soon you're going to have a business, but you have to do the work and like just follow the instructions and you'll get there. And it might take a day or it might take a year, but when it gets uncomfortable, we have to keep going through it. Just like when we were doing the formula, it got frustrating and uncomfortable. Like we hit our head. I don't understand why. How can X be equal to Y? I don't understand. But we keep doing it, and then something clicks, and we understand. Oh, well, the formula makes X equal Y because of this. And it's the same thing with doing life. It's like, oh, well, if I keep doing this, then I'm going to understand it. It's going to make sense. And it might take a day, could take a month, could take a year. But if I keep doing it, if I stop, it's not going to happen. But if I keep going through it, I think we need to create the goals that we want to do. And, often when we look at rock stars or celebrities or movie stars or whoever it is, one of the reasons I think we love them, there's two reasons. One of them is like we admire them for their talent. If we go see a musician, we're like, wow, that's really great. You know why we admire them so much in addition to that, though, is I think it's because we love that they have something they've loved and they went after it and they succeeded at a high level. And we look at them and we're like, wow, look how happy and free they are. And look how successful they are because they had the courage to go after their dreams and it worked.
Mm-hmm.
What if we all just went after our dreams and didn't stop until we got there? Then that's the happiness that we're all craving. We have our dreams and we don't go after them because we're stuck in this job or this situation that we think we need to be stuck in order to survive. But all we're doing is surviving. We're not thriving.
And
So
that's a program. And with honesty, Dr. Jogan says we weren't programmed to be in survival mode all 24/7.
yeah, we want to thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I just like, you know what, today I wake up every morning. I have a little morning ritual. Before I even get out of bed, I wake up grateful, feeling gratitude because I got to sleep in a comfortable bed. The sheets feel so cozy. And I woke up alive. And then I just say, this is going to be a great day. This is a new day. I I want to imagine what I can do for today. Be the greatest expression of me today. And that's putting that energy out first thing in the morning.
Yeah, it's magical stuff. It works if you continue to work at it.
Consistency and persistence.
Hmm.
Just like
Yeah.
I am with my show, I'm consistent, and I'm persistent. I created a new habit that serves my purpose of what it is that I want to accomplish and do. And anybody and everybody can do this too.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling and fascinating to me. Like,
Yeah.
our minds are so powerful, and we're just scratching the surface.
Always. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
I
all this.
so am happy, and just like, this is like the best part of my day is when I get to have somebody on my show that we can have intellectual conversations and just be in the moment. So
Yeah.
it's so insightful. And do you have any workshops, books? I put all the links about you where they can go and find you and whatnot. But do you have anything exciting, that projects or whatnot, that you're doing right now or getting
Uh,
ready?
Not around coaching, but the very best way to buy my book or see the podcast or which I haven't been recording recently, but the very best way to get in touch is through dennisberry.com. And from there, you can watch the show and or buy a book or schedule a free session. And we could just have a talk, see if it works. If not, no problem. You can call Kimberly. And either way, ask for help if you don't know how to get somewhere. But again, the very best way to get in touch is with dennisberry.com.
And the first step is waking up and acknowledging, okay, I need help and it's okay. And just finding the right person that you resonate with to start. That's that action, that first step. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's the hardest step, but once you do it, it's like, okay, it wasn't that as bad as what I thought it was going to be, kind of moment.
Yeah. Well said. Asking for help has historically been seen as a sign of weakness, and it's not. It's a sign of strength. It's
Hmm.
saying, I would like to be here and I don't know how to get there. Can you help me? It's like before there was Google Maps and Waze and all these other things, we um, had to figure out how to get there or ask directions. And it was always like a stereotype. Oh, guys wouldn't ask directions. And I was always the guy who did. I would rather stop and say, hey, can you help me get there and get there in 5 minutes instead of driving around with my head up my ass for 2 hours, wondering how to get there. So now I just ask questions, say, I need help. That's a sign of strength.
Yes. And Dr. Wayne Dwyer, he's another one of my mentors. I listen to him as part of my meditation because I love his voice. Him and Dr. Joe Dispenza's voice just resonates with my body, my soul. And he goes, you can be the host of God or a hostage to your ego. It's your call.
Yeah. We
And
have
that's
that choice.
so empowering.
Yeah.
And I choose to be the host of God, being in this human being and sharing love. I am love, and I love expressing love and getting it to expand to touch everybody that watches my show or listens to my podcast. That's where my intentions is. Somebody's going to get help today. Someone's going to listen, to my guest, and it's just going to click. It's going to resonate. It's going to change like that to where it just clicks.
Yeah. Awesome.
But thank you so much, Dennis. It was such an honor and a pleasure to finally meet you. And I wish you the best of success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kim. It was really nice. I appreciate it. Appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you. And I appreciate you too.
All right, cool.
Well, there you go. I hope, my wish, not hope, my wish is that you got something out of this today, and look forward to more amazing guests and amazing interviews right here on Wake Up with KC.